A 58-year-old woman who has filed several lawsuits against local, state, and federal officials wants to be Louisville's next mayor.
She claims there's a widespread conspiracy to keep her quiet. So who is Connie Marshall? Steve Bergen attended her news conference today. Joins us live now with more. Steve.
Vicki Carissa, Democrat Connie Marshall says she is a businesswoman with a background in real estate and a civil rights activist. She's presently unemployed. Marshall believes there's a campaign on behalf of some corrupt officials to sabotage her campaign.
I have no ties to the special interests. I'm spiritually based, and I believe in honesty, integrity, and accountability.
And Connie Marshall says she's been fighting for accountability for some time. She's filed several lawsuits charging a widespread government cover-up. And that's one of the reasons she contends she's been assaulted 150 times.
I have been assaulted on a regular basis through electromagnetic technology. That includes microwaving, infrasound, VA satellite.
One lawsuit was filed against Louisville Gas and Electric, charging the utility with torturing and tormenting Miss Marshall by turning lights and other electrical appliances off and on.
I've had about maybe 4 or 5 TVs destroyed. I've had about 7 telephones or more, computers, fax machines, all of these things destroyed.
She claimed an electric current coming through a telephone caused her to have a paralyzed feeling. The LG&E suit was dismissed with prejudice as frivolous. Marshall also sued the U.S. Attorney, Governor Beshear, the sheriff, and police chief, claiming government waste and fraud, racism, physical and mental assault, and illegal incarceration. Earlier this month, she sued federal judges. That suit accuses them of participating in or willfully allowing gang stalking. She wants the judges impeached, incarcerated, and is seeking $20 million in damages. Marshall says the government is also conspiring to break up families.
My grandchildren were taken illegally by the state for federal funding, and they were also abused in state's care, beaten, made to go without food, and illegally placed for adoption.
She contends that and the fact she was the victim of a hate crime are other motives behind the electronic attacks and illegal surveillance.
I find my fight is with the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I feel that it was done because of the complaints that I have filed against them, which are legitimate complaints.
Marshall also claims other local civil rights activists have been the targets of electronic assaults, including the late Reverend Lewis Coleman. Marshall told me she's unemployed because every job she's ever had has been destroyed. She filed her candidacy papers on Wednesday, but points out she notified the state of her intentions to run last August. 2 weeks ago, Marshall filed a lawsuit against WLKY and WHAS, alleging the stations have tried to sabotage her bid for mayor. Steve Bergen, WLKY News.
Well, maybe you sensed it, that feeling that you're being watched. Well, the state has laws against stalking on the books, making it a felony.
What if police don't recognize it? And what if it's a complete stranger who's bothering you? Tonight, Joe Conger and the I-Team investigates.
Cynthia Verbeff is moving. Her home, she says, has become a house of horrors.
I feel that I've lost my mind, I've lost my life.
Incident reports from law enforcement tell the tale. Numerous break-ins at the address, vandalism to her car, her motorcycle, her computer. Verbeff believes she's being targeted.
Everything, they just went through everything.
But sheriff's detectives had little to go on because the vandals, though often destructive, stole nothing. Even from her portable safe, drilled into and torn apart, the contents, the jewelry, remained untouched. Verbeff says her troubles didn't start until she met these 2 men. One would become her ex-boyfriend, the other was his partner in a San Antonio pain clinic, Dr. John Hall.
Very first time I met him, we went to his house on 4th of July, and he told me that because I was already there in his house, I would be the next victim, that I was going to be stalked.
Verbeff found the doctor's prophecy to be correct. She suffered months of oddness.
Coming in through the front door, and I touch the doorknob, and it just falls into pieces.
Lights left on, doors open, furniture moved, her clothes dryer disassembled. Her friends say they noticed the strange happenings. They tell the I-Team they even witnessed a gas oven left turned on.
As soon as you walk in the house, you'd smell gas in the house. So the whole house smelled from gas. So immediately turned it off and opened up the doors, but I mean, that thing doesn't just turn on by itself, and it had been running for a good length of time.
Or the time Verbeff and a friend say they were stalked at a mall.
I saw him following us to several stores, and I would see the man close to us, looking at us.
The girls had the presence of mind to snap a photo with their phone. Verbeff says all these happenings culminated in an assault. The 39-year-old believes someone drugged the food in her home and returned later to rape her.
I know something happened to me because a woman knows.
She filed a report and was briefly hospitalized with signs of sexual assault. Dr. Hall says what Verbeff describes is known as gang stalking. Indeed, he writes about it in his book, A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism in America. Verbeff is not alone. Others in San Antonio have contacted the I-Team and described similar types of occurrences.
The urine arsenic is above normal. We shouldn't have arsenic.
Linda Johnson says someone poisoned her water supply with heavy metals in northwest San Antonio. Then there's her story about the bracelet that went missing, then reappeared. Police, she says, have stopped listening to her. And like Verbeff, she too believes she's been sexually assaulted, although she never filed a police report.
I've gone to doctors many times, and I've been to the Rape Crisis Center for counseling, yes.
Many of these so-called victims of what Hall describes as gang stalking meet up on the internet, finding comfort and information from others who say they too suffer from electronic stalking, mind control, and even rape. Loosely defined, gang stalking is where organized groups target and harass unwilling victims to the point of paranoia, leaving the victims to deal with skeptical family members and skeptical law enforcement.
This isn't stalking done by a former spouse or former boyfriend or someone that you know that's disgruntled at you, but stalking that's being done by total strangers in an organized fashion.
And some internet links take you here to the book mentioned earlier, written by Dr. John Hall.
The book is fact. It's not a book of fiction. What I've wrote about is an isolated story here in San Antonio.
Dr. Hall says it is a story about himself and the harassment and rapes his ex-girlfriends allegedly suffered beginning in 1996. Dr. Hall believes the people behind it are well-organized operatives using government satellite technology to terrorize him and other victims.
All voicing the same complaints: organized stalking, weird electronic disturbances going on in their homes. Most of the women are complaining of drugging and sexual assault. So it's a big national problem.
Verbeff bought the book, and what she read, she says, caused her stomach to turn, because within the chapters in the story, she found similarities to her own situation.
I pulled out the book and I started reading and I'm like, oh my God, it's exactly what's happening.
It's like turning the pages of your own story.
Everything.
Remember the doors, windows, even the clothes dryer taken apart? Page 35, third paragraph, talks about reassembling appliances. The drugged food and rape? Page 52 talks of concealing Rohypnol, the date rape drug, in drinks and food. The account in Hall's book is chilling, and the I-Team uncovered some truth to his story. San Antonio police reports indicate there was a rape reported in 2007 in the same quad of condos where one of Dr. Hall's girlfriends supposedly lived. San Antonio police say the condo rape remains under investigation. And Bexar County detectives say Verbeff's assault remains open as well. And although there are some interesting connections to Dr. Hall in the book, law enforcement won't and cannot say if Dr. Hall is even a person of interest. The I-Team thought the similarities were striking and asked him.
Could you in fact be the person that's creating this mess for these women?
And that's actually one of the reasons why I got out of my ex-fiance's life. To make sure that they weren't victimizing her in order to get at me.
Dr. Hall says he's been targeted by the same groups. There's mention in the book of a conspiracy by the criminals and by fellow doctors. Dr. Hall says the Texas Medical Board retaliated against him for uncovering the gang stalking. The I-Team confirmed one local hospital suspended Dr. Hall's clinical privileges for 2 months in 2006. In 2007, the Texas Medical Board ordered 2 mental evaluations of Dr. Hall. The first came back normal, but a second evaluation found a probable delusional disorder and ordered psychiatric treatment. And in 2008, Hall's license was suspended, this time when he tested positive for cocaine. In the book, he explains the operatives drugged him with cocaine periodically. Dr. Hall's medical license has since been reinstated.
If you look nationwide, almost everyone that complains of this eventually gets sent to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrists don't look into the technology. They don't do any research into whether or not any of this is possible.
With his book published, Dr. Hall is taking his message nationally. He's appeared on cable TV shows.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hall.
Late night radio.
And our guest tonight, Dr. John Hall,
and even has his own radio program in the works.
There have been several people in my midst, obviously, that have been victimized, but if you look at it on a larger scale, it is a national problem as well.
Dr. Hall says the problem is gang stalking, seeking to victimize innocent women and sully his reputation for exposing them. For the I-Team, Joe Conger, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Dr. Hall's belief is that we all face some sort of terrorism in our lives that is mostly unseen and deadly. He contends criminals are tapping into our government surveillance systems to gain access to our lives and minds. As for the alleged rapes mentioned in that story, no one has been charged, but both San Antonio Police and Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say they continue to investigate.
This story on our website, kcba.com. New tonight, police call it bullying on steroids. We're talking about gang stalking, but it actually has nothing to do with the gangs that you first think of. Central Coast News reporter Candace Wynn learned more about the trend and how it's getting more dangerous because of the internet.
It makes me feel afraid.
Lawrence Gazzino claims his neighbors are gang stalking him because he plays loud music late at night and is outspoken. He said for the last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group of people. At one point, he said they climbed on his roof to harass him. Gazzino said gang stalking and bullying devastated his relationships with friends and, worst of all, family.
That's the worst part of it. If it was me, I would take action.
Santa Cruz Police Lieutenant Larry Richards said police are becoming more aware of gang stalking because of cyberbullying. But what is gang stalking? Basically, the victims could be driving their car or talking on their phones or walking the streets when a group of people try to systematically terrorize them. Richards said gang stalking is nothing new, but new technology is making it more common.
Gang stalking itself, they have elevated themselves to technology. So this is something that's been going on before the age of Facebook, Twitter, those other social websites. They just now have gone into those areas.
Gazzino said he's proof that the problem isn't just online and that it can hit too close to home, a home he plans on leaving because of gang stalking.
I want to be able to go to the tennis courts and play tennis or play ping pong without people following us everywhere. It's just nerve-wracking.
I'm Candace Wynn in Salinas, your Central Coast News.
If found guilty of gang stalking, a person may face criminal, conspiracy, and stalking charges, all of which are felony charges in California.
Sacramento police say this man called 911 more than 100 times in 1 month, and you may not believe why he says he did it.
Somebody watching this at home may say, well, this just sounds crazy.
Yes, that's true.
Well, police arrested him for 911 abuse. They say he's wasting police resources. New tonight, Nick James is live in Sacramento with why the man promises he will not stop calling. Nick?
Yes, Sam, a lot of people who just get out of jail hide from our cameras, but not this guy. He opened his front door with a smile, invited us in, and handed us this typewritten statement. He says he called 911 more than 100 times in his explanation. You just got to hear it for yourself.
These are all my 911 calls.
Jimmy Shao keeps a logbook of every 911 call. So many, he boasts, he's probably set a Guinness World Record.
If you're wasting their time, it's important for police to be able to have that for real emergencies.
I know you are going to ask me this question.
It's his answer that we had a hard time with. Shao believes he's being watched by shadowy government authorities.
My brain, I can feel it. Started.
And actually claims to believe his body is controlled by satellites.
Blasted by the signals. Every couple minutes, I yell and I scream and I stop it. I don't need this. They never listen.
Gang 72 negative, copy.
Sacramento police say Shao ignored warnings to stop calling over and over, so they arrested him for 911 abuse.
That this person made over 100 calls within a month time, 60 of them come into the Sacramento Police Department. That is alarming.
Every 911 call made inside Sacramento city limits is answered by the CHP. Many are transferred here to SacPD's comm center. Dispatchers take time to evaluate every call, even the ones that don't make any sense.
We know that he is tying up resources that are desperately needed by other citizens in our community.
Fresh out of jail, Shao promises he isn't done dialing 911.
Yes, until the Congress started the investigation.
So you're going to keep calling even though you've been arrested?
Yes.
And Chow says he's happy to get arrested again until he gets the investigation he believes he needs. Sam police say if he does keep calling, he will get arrested again. They also say they could look for some counseling to get him some help.
Well, that's where I was going with that. I mean, maybe it's counseling that's in order here. I mean, oh my goodness, Nick. Okay, thanks very much for that, Christina.
It's the thing nightmares are made of.
You know, it's so creepy that I decided to have a bolt put on the door, and I'm having my son sleep in here with me.
Creepy only begins to describe it.
It's like an alternate reality, really.
When she'd get home from work, Fasika Tafara started noticing things out of place in her home.
You know, they were just all open, but what was weird is, so for example, they were open like this, but they were all at the same level.
First, the windows, then lights turned on. Her cabinets pulled out.
It's intended to let me know that somebody has been here, essentially, right? So all of the drawers have been pulled out. And
something strange every single day for almost the past month. She finally realized someone has been coming inside.
Are people following me? And then I started to wonder also, well, how do they know when I'm here and when I'm not here?
Then Tafara found this small camera in her 11-year-old son's bedroom. So she took to the internet and started digging. What she found? Something called community or gang stalking. It's an eerie practice aimed at your psyche to make you almost feel like you're going crazy.
It's spooky, and my understanding is that if this is in fact what it is, it can go on for years, you know.
Only you're not. Tafara left her phone recording audio at her house. Listen, you can hear what sounds like people rummaging around. On one, you can hear what sounds like drilling.
So this hole here has been cut into the attic space.
Tafara says detectives have been to the house.
It's kind of like, you know, if it happens again, call us, but there's not much we can do.
Something that makes this even more terrifying.
As I'm standing there, these 4 men come in and they were looking at these games on the wall, but they were staring at me. It wasn't paranoia, I wasn't imagining it. And you know, when you feel like you're going to collapse, everything seemed like it was in slow motion, and then this guy just started filming me.
Window shopping was about safety, not sales, looking always for an obsessed former colleague who said he wanted to both love and kill her. But when the stalker couldn't stay hidden, he recruited others to follow her, to make her fear for her life.
Constant thinking that, you know, someone's going to kill me. Today, maybe it's today.
Janice constantly checks who's nearby after years of being gang-stalked in Liverpool. To protect her identity, how she looks now, she's portrayed by an actress and we've changed her name. This is how she described the moment the gang first appeared.
I had a game, I was taken back to a shop. And there was this really long queue, and as I'm standing there, these 4 men come in and they were looking at these games on the wall, but they were staring at me. It wasn't paranoia, I wasn't imagining it. And you know, when you feel like you're going to collapse, everything seemed like it was in slow motion, and then this guy just started filming me. And then he like smirked. Never seen any of them before, ever. I felt literally trapped. If they're so brazen to do that in front of me, what else could they do?
Janice's steps have been traced repeatedly, yet those who block exits, bump into her, terrify her, have never been caught. By the time she's begged shop staff or security to call police, they've fled. CCTV footage hasn't helped. Her original stalker's untraceable.
Could we look at which barristers are available with stalking expertise?
Solicitor Rachel Horman helps stalking victims nationwide from her practice in Blackburn. She says gang cases aren't unheard of.
I've got several cases where that is happening, and it makes it very, very difficult because you can't tackle all of them. You don't even know who they all are. And psychologically for a victim it's awful, because every time they leave the house everybody is a potential stalker because they don't know who they are, who they're looking for, and it can make people become quite paranoid, understandably, and they just stop trusting anybody or stop leaving the house. So it really is horrific.
If the stalker has told a particular story about the person, then everyone else could feel completely justified in joining in the campaign.
Dr. Jane Monckton-Smith understands the psychology of gang stalking. The expert on methods to stop stalkers says some build a fictional backstory of love lost.
Sometimes people will be drawn into helping because they think they're doing the right thing. They might have been told a story that, look, I really like this girl and I think if I just can get her attention, and then the friend will go and say, well, just talk to him, he's lovely. And before you know it, that person's involved in the stalking campaign without even knowing it. Some people get involved for other reasons, but I think most people have no idea of the impact.
A life lived on edge is the impact on Janice. Lived away from anywhere she believes the gang could spot her. Lived in fear she could join those for whom stalking ends the worst way.
Women feel like they're slowly being murdered. Well, I feel like that, and I feel like I can't tell anyone that. That nightmare's never ended for me.
On tonight's edition of The Insiders, we investigate the phenomenon of gang stalking. WTXL ABC 27's Paulo Salazar examines the events that led to one man taking a gun on FSU's campus and opening fire.
November 20th, 2014. It's a day many will never forget in Tallahassee and beyond. What started out as a night of studying in a college library turned to tragedy because of one man, Myron May. May believed he was a victim of gang stalking. Well, tonight you'll hear from May in his own chilling words, pleading for anyone to understand him as we examine just what is gang stalking.
Kind of my last words. It's really unfortunate that I have to make this video. See, I am a victim of covert harassment and electronic harassment and gang stalking. I'm what's called a targeted individual.
On November 20th, 2014, 31-year-old Myron May walks into Strozier Library on the campus of Florida State University and opens fire. 3 people are injured. May tries to leave campus, and a shootout with police in front of the library ends violently. The medical examiner confirming May was shot 24 times by police.
For now, things seem to be back to normal on campus. Students have fallen back into their routines, but it was here not so long ago on a tragic night that has many wondering what could make a man snap and lose control.
What causes a seemingly well-liked guy to plan a mass murder? Is it mental illness, or as many suggests, being a victim of gang stalking?
The goal of gang stalking is literally to drive a targeted individual crazy.
If you search gang stalking on the internet, you can find thousands of people all over the world describing similar circumstances. Those who feel they are victims of gang stalking truly believe people are out to get them.
They employ isolation tactics. They basically try to convince your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers that they should be keeping an eye on you.
In a 2-hour video diary that May released before the shooting, he explains how and when he started to believe he was a targeted individual.
A constant bout of noise that is never ending is designed to keep the targeted individual on edge.
In September of 2014, while May was living in Las Cruces, New Mexico, he filed a police report. In the incident report, May told police that someone put a camera in his apartment and that he was hearing voices coming through the walls. May began to believe family and friends were in on the conspiracy to make him crazy.
I am totally not crazy. I'm completely sane, but they've employed these tactics against me as well to try to make me appear to be a crazy person.
Tyrone Dew, an advocate and victim of gang stalking, says it's hard to prove that gang stalking is not just in your mind.
It's virtually impossible to be able to tell that someone is being attacked because we cannot see these weapons that are being used against you. We can only see the direct effects, and these effects, really seem like symptoms.
And what unfolded that Thursday morning in November is testimony of just how bad those suffering from mental illness can get. Through the entire process, Myron May believed he was being stalked.
There has been a shooting in the library. Stay where you are.
Father, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Forgive me for all of my sins, past sins, present sins, any future sins. I'm sorry that my faith was so weak. Amen. And that is the end of my personal story.
As for one of May's victims, Ronnie Ahmed, who's now paralyzed as a result of the shooting that night, well, he's back in school and moving on with his life. If you have a story idea for the Insiders, you can email us your idea at abc27news at WTXL.tv. Attention, the Insiders.
Here on 5 News, we've told you about different kinds of bullying that goes down in schools.
That's right, but bullying doesn't just affect children, it can affect us adults as well. Aaron McPherson talked to a group of people today who shared their story. Aaron, what did these people tell you?
I met 3 people today who are victims of adult bullying, or as they refer to it, organized stalking. 2 of them are from Pennsylvania, but were in the area for their support group, which helps them get through their daily struggles of people constantly putting them down.
We feel as though there is a great abuse going on, not only in our country, but across the world. This is a global problem.
John and Terry are friends from Pennsylvania who have been living in fear for years.
I was inundated with harassment, just absolutely inundated with it. I would be told what I did that day, what I did the day before, where I went, what I had to eat, what I was wearing currently, where I was sitting in my apartment.
Some of us that are single people that live alone are harassed in the community, the hacking of our electronic devices, computers, phones.
These are just 2 of the many people in the world who are victims of stalkers and bullying.
It's totally immature. It's like 10-year-old on the school play yard bullying, but yet it's like on steroids with adults, and it goes so much further than that.
People who suffer from this lose money from changing locks, fixing computers, or even moving.
Just a slow takedown of a person's life over time. I had a respectable career, and I was married, and I had a home, I had a car, typical thing, set up, and Now I don't have a whole lot left in the world.
Terry and John told us they have gone to the police with this information, but apparently they lack the evidence needed for a case.
I actually took the computer and threw it in the dumpster, which is a terrible thing to do because the hard drive and everything was in there, and I had tons and tons and tons of things on there that probably would have been helpful.
We are trying to gather evidence that we can, that things are going on.
So why do people do this, and what can be done?
It seems to me that they enjoy being a part of this. We need laws to be passed. We need laws to be upheld. We need ethics to come back into our lives.
Luckily, Terry and John have found support groups that help them get through day-to-day life.
Important to have that connection with other people going through this.
Can't describe what it would be like, what it has been like to talk to somebody who understands this. And then to find out there's people all around the country that are going through this, and I've made so many friends now because of this, and it's been the difference between being able to keep going and not.
Terry and John said hopefully by coming forward, people will be more aware of this problem. For 5 News, I'm Erin McPherson.
Hundreds of people in the valley say they are hearing voices in their heads. And those voices are being transmitted by microwave or other methods.
Well, several viewers asked us to investigate what they call electronic harassment. KMIR 6's Angela Monroe joins us now with what she's discovered. Angela.
Electronic harassment, synthetic telepathy, voice-to-skull technology. Chances are you haven't heard of these terms, but after searching the internet, I found dozens of websites dedicated to the phenomenon and several Valley residents who say they're victims.
How much more can you invade me than to go into my brain? It sounds like somebody else is reading the book, only it's thoughts.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
These men all live in the area, didn't know each other before the voices started, and say someone is playing mind games with them.
Mostly it's a lot of derogatory comments about whatever you're thinking about.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence, he said, "This is not about you," which just frosted me. If it's not about me, what the hell am I going through all this for?
Kevin Bond says he used to have a normal life.
I was living in the San Diego area, I was clerking for a federal judge, and I noticed that I was being followed by a whole bunch of people.
According to the websites, what Bond is describing is called gangstalking. He moved to Palm Springs to escape.
I started hearing, as you'll hear, hearing voices and what they'll call voice-to-skull or microwave hearing.
Bob Stansfield says his experience was similar and started a decade ago.
They were active in following me around here, and I started hearing the voices a little bit after the vehicular stalking.
Randall Ringer says the voices started when he was undergoing chemotherapy.
The first thing that was said was, "Randall Ringer." And I sat up straight and I went to into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, looked myself in the eyes, and I said, did that really happen?
Bond says he's found more than 300 victims locally and is tracking others across the state through billboards. In Johnson Valley, a Freedom House just opened to help people who believe they are being targeted.
To many of you who find yourselves the object of covert harassment, that there is hope and that you are not alone, and that we are striving to find legislation and we're working towards freedom for all.
Derek Robinson leads a national group called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. He says he knows who's playing mind games.
Rogue government officials that are sponsoring this, also corrupt business officials, and private citizens.
And he also told us how.
Most of it is delivered by microwave, and I believe it's satellite delivered, whether someone is on a remote location using a laptop or next door using the desktop.
Bond says neurotransmitter chips that run off body electricity have been inserted into some people.
And they assign cell phone numbers to them. The cell phone numbers are then run through a computer, and a computer translates your thoughts. This crime has been available to the military for 60 years.
We sat down with local psychiatrist Dr. Alan Drucker to get his professional opinion.
There's no scientific evidence and there's no objective evidence to show that what they believe to be happening is factually true.
So what does the doctor believe is behind these voices?
Information that I found on many of these websites really confirms or is consistent with what I see in delusional disorders.
But these men disagree.
I've been to a psychiatrist and they gave me anti-schizophrenia medication and it did absolutely nothing whatsoever.
However, Dr. Drucker says delusional disorder has no real medical treatment and is believed to start because of disrupted dopamine pathways in the brain.
These pathways then start to fire or get triggered in the absence of actual stimulation of a person actually speaking or the radio being on, etc.
Dr. Drucker says dopamine can be disrupted for a variety of reasons: a genetic predisposition, illicit drugs, and even chemotherapy. These men have their own theories why they're being harassed.
I think that I was targeted because I'm gay.
I reported someone for selling what I thought they were selling drugs, and they were.
Nationwide, this crime is committed about 60% against white women ages from 30 to 38. But in Palm Springs, it's almost 98% gay men.
It does tend to occur more in populations of individuals who are marginalized or in some way stigmatized in society.
But these men disagree and say police and the psychiatric community need to take them seriously.
When I worked with the government, I heard a lot of people coming in saying, I'm hearing voices through my tooth. Now I look back and I think, are they like I am now and I just didn't pay attention?
For them, the voices are a waking nightmare. And Kevin Bond told me they're working on a book project about electronic harassment and pitching the idea to DreamWorks. Back to you.
We've all had nasty neighbors, but an entire town? Think how annoyed you get when just one person honks at you. Now imagine all your neighbors driving by sitting on that horn 24/7. Are they tormenting one family, or did that family wear out its welcome? We want you to decide. Here's Paula Ferris.
Of all the homes in Hubbard, Ohio, it might be the last one you'd expect folks to fight over. But this vacant house on East Liberty Street is the hottest property since good old Nehemiah Hubbard founded the town 200 years ago. Oh, what a fuss over a little fixer-upper.
This all started in 2007 over a simple real estate deal, correct?
Right. It was the property next door here.
Meet Rick and Cindy Kurlich, longtime Hubbard residents. They say all they wanted was to buy the property next door. The only problem? It wasn't for sale. These folks, John and Marlene Clementi, had inherited half the house. The other half was tied up in court. But Rick Kurlich tried to buy it anyway, even though it had been in the Clementi family for generations.
I says, well, you're not getting my land. And I said, that's not right. It's my family since 1922. How could you do that?
The Clement family called me up and they told me to take my bid off the table. And if I didn't take my bid off the table, we'd be bitter enemies for life.
Rick never got the house, but he says he's still paying for what he did. As the town fire chief, Clementi had lots of friends, and suddenly Rick and Cindy say it seemed like every single one of them was driving by honking the horn, and it wasn't to say hello.
The Clement family conspired together to organize a horn-blowing campaign against us. That's really what this is all about.
Ask not for whom the horn blows, it blows for Rick and Cindy Kurlich.
In the beginning, it was 100 times a day.
100 times a day?
100.
So they began planning their payback. Their house now bristles with expensive surveillance cameras. As we were looking them over, just watch what happened.
The last camera is down here on the tree.
Okay. Oh, somebody just honked their horn. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's never
Was that
ending.
a friendly honk?
Probably not.
Okay.
Rick says his ear is now finely attuned.
You can tell an import horn from a domestic horn.
Who are these horn blowers? Not just people in the town, but people who work for the town. Firefighters, including some from the department John Clementi ran, and police. Here's one of Hubbard Township's finest, not serving, not protecting, just honking. It's enough to wake the dead. This hearse caught 10 times. And would you look at this? The horn on the bus goes. An education for Hubbard's next generation of horn blowers. Rick and Cindy renamed their dining room the evidence room.
Wow.
There's more in the basement.
There's hundreds and hundreds of photographs and discs and stuff here.
You're like a detective.
So when did people start blowing the horns? Were you recruiting people, telling them to get this guy out of town?
That's what he tells everybody.
John says he can explain everything. His son's girlfriend and some of her friends would occasionally blow the horn, but he says that was just their way of saying goodbye.
When they would leave the house, the girls would toot the horn just to let them know they're leaving.
A little toot? Yeah, Rick says, like this car leaving the Clementi's driveway at 4 in the morning.
Does the city of Hubbard have a horn blowing epidemic?
An epidemic? No. We do have a problem in one particular area.
We patrolled around town with the police chief, Jim Tafe.
At some point, people began blowing horns, but it became clear at another point that on occasion it was used to harass the person that lived there.
Kurlich began taking horn blowers to court. He says he got orders of protection against more than a dozen people, and he didn't stop there. He started suing. Somebody beeps, Rick sues. Beep, sue. At the Trumbull County Courthouse, the legal paperwork is piling up. Rick is now suing no fewer than 40 alleged hornblowers, including the Clementis.
This isn't my job, and I don't want to do this, and I'm sad that I have to.
Kurlich versus everybody.
It seems like the town of Hubbard is against the Kurliches and everybody's in on it now.
Why wouldn't you be against them?
If you beep your horn one time, he'll take you to court. Just a regular beep.
Does the city of Hubbard want the Kurliches to leave?
I believe so.
Do you think you've made matters worse?
We don't know how else to stop it.
We knew it was a long shot, but we asked both sides if they would consider mediation.
We would love it for it to stop, but how do you get everybody in Hubbard to come to a meeting and say stop?
Now there's a thought, get everybody in Hubbard to come to a meeting.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, Rick, that's just what we're gonna do. It's the 2020 Barbecue Peace Summit.
All right.
But will the warring parties or anyone else bother to show up?
To an ABC News exclusive now with a Massachusetts couple who claimed they were subjected to a vicious campaign of harassment by former eBay executives. We bring in now our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis. And Rebecca, some of these details about what they went through are just downright bizarre.
Totally bizarre, TJ, and mind-blowing. Imagine executives at a major American corporation getting together, conspiring to make your life a living hell. It is not a horror film. This is what the Steiners say happened to them.
David and Ina Steiner, a couple living in a quiet suburb outside of Boston, say it started with graffiti spray painted on their fence.
It was really disturbing. It just didn't make any sense.
The pair run a 22-year-old website dedicated to e-commerce news that could be critical of eBay's policies. Prosecutors allege that's what made them a target.
I started getting harassed online through Twitter, through unwanted email subscriptions, and these were really disturbing emails.
But according to a recently filed lawsuit, that was just the beginning.
We got a phone call from a shop in Arizona that said that they couldn't deliver the wet specimen that we had ordered. And not having any idea what a wet specimen was, I asked her. She said it was an embalmed pig fetus.
The Steiners allege they became the victims of a harassment campaign that would leave them fearing for their lives, orchestrated by former executives of eBay, the e-commerce giant worth more than $47 billion. Speaking out exclusively to Good Morning America, the couple and their lawyer detail what they call in the complaint a systematic campaign to emotionally and psychologically torture the pair in order to stifle their reporting on eBay.
You also received cockroaches, a book on surviving the loss of a spouse, a funeral wreath. your neighbors received pornography that was addressed to David. Did it cross your mind at any point that eBay could be behind this?
No, it was a psychopath. Who could devise these torturous packages and the depravity, the messages? If you read the language, I never in a million years would have thought it was a company.
One package even allegedly contained this disturbing mask from the movie Saw.
This is the mask the killer wears right before he kidnaps, tortures, and kills his victim.
At one point, they say eBay employees attempted to place a tracking device on their car.
We still can't believe it, and we still want to know why.
Prosecutors have also criminally charged 6 eBay employees and a contractor with cyber stalking. 5 have pleaded guilty, 2 maintain their innocence and await trial.
eBay says they have fully cooperated with the investigation, adding in a statement to ABC News, the misconduct of these former employees was wrong, and we will do what is fair and appropriate to try to address what the Steiners went through. The events from 2019 should never have happened, and as eBay expressed to the Steiners, we are very sorry for what they endured. But guys, you can imagine, this story is not over. The fact that this could happen, it could come from a company like eBay that's supposed to help the little guy sell his or her stuff on eBay. It's just wild.
Oh, great point there. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you, Robin.
I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if anybody's going to do anything about it. Hopefully they will. Based on 28 years experience and research, I have determined there are thousands of victims who have been targeted by an illegal U.S. government rogue criminal enterprise that is active 24 hours a day throughout the United States. A network of victims who work with me have reached the same conclusion based on 1, their personal experience. These are the people who have come to me. 2, the significant number of victims, thousands of them. And 3, the extent and intensity of the harassment. I'm talking about micro beams, I'm talking about surveillances, I'm talking about poison gas, everything, the evil that you can think of. I believe this well-organized, sophisticated operation has a central command located somewhere in the United States with multiple satellite offices scattered throughout the country. This criminal enterprise by this rogue element targets an individual. It is necessary to, in order to target them, they 1, identify the individual, 2, outline the reason the victim is targeted, and 3, document and identify the weapons and tactics being directed against him or her. So I will do that in this lecture that I'm giving right here today.
I think the stalking and harassment went from 2006 to 2009 when they put me on administrative leave. I hired a lawyer to sue them, and in 2010 they fired me against the EEOC judge's orders. And that's when I found out, well, a little bit before that, but that's when I found out about NSA and other federal agencies using the FBI fusion centers as vengeance for hire entities. Now, the fusion centers were created after 9/11. You had heads of various intelligence agencies, including NSA, telling the Congress, we don't know what happened. It was an intelligence failure, but we think that if you give us a place in each state, some kind of center where we can fuse information from the national level down to the local level, we can head off these kinds of terrorist attacks. And so at this point in time, after 20 years, there are 80 fusion centers all over the United States. It is a network. And they supposedly are watching for terrorist plots, trying to identify terrorists, et cetera, et cetera. And so far in 22 years, they have found not one terrorist, not one terrorist group, not one terrorist plot, and stopped no terrorist plot whatsoever. And Congress is asking them, what are you doing with the billions of dollars that we give you? And they refuse to tell them. They basically say, you don't have the clearance, so we're not telling you, which is insane. But what they have done is they have created a Tier 3 and Tier 4 level terrorist list of regular Americans, and they call them non-investigative subjects. Well, if these are dangerous people, why are you not investigating them? Why would they be non-investigative subjects? Well, because they're fraudulently put on tier 3 and tier 4. And then they are defamed. The Fusion Center operatives go throughout the neighborhood, show their shiny little badges, and tell them, we have a problem in your neighborhood. You know, John Smith is, we think he's a terrorist, and he has predilections for pedophilia and all kinds of other stuff. And they scare the heck out of these civilians who don't have any idea that they're lying. They do create false dossiers right and left. There are hundreds of thousands of false dossiers. And once they target you, they never let go. They actually go through the neighborhood, tell them, we need you to do this, this, and this to them. And it can be quite petty. Like, Tim, you have to go over and slit John's tire, every Tuesday morning. For $100, we'll give you a gift card. But they can also basically enlist the neighbors to allow or to participate in hitting these people with electromagnetic weapons. These are the types of weapons that hit our diplomats, and they can be quite devastating. They go through almost anything and everything, and you can see my face is swollen. I mean, I'm old, but my face is still swollen from these weapons hitting my home 24/7. And of course, police don't have any idea what you're talking about, or they're told to butt out. Well, like I said, they've turned into vengeance for hire entities, but they are into human trafficking, and they get, and I'm going to call it, contracts on people. It sounds like it's a smorgasbord. Once you're on this list, then they're free to target you for experimentation, for non-consensual experimentation, because secretly what they've done by listing you as a terrorist is to secretly strip you of your constitutional, civil, and human rights. And if you remember, Bush said, we'll hunt you down and kill you wherever you are. We don't care, what country you're in. We reserve the right to just murder you. They have interpreted that as, hey, if we're calling them terrorists and stripping them of their rights, why kill them all at once? Why don't we just use them to experiment on and test our weapons on? I mean, after all, there is a new electromagnetic weapons war, weapons race. So why not just use it on these people who don't count? We've erased them. So we are human trafficked. They make money off of us. And I would say that not only do the contractors basically get in there and say, hey, could you just go ahead and declare like 20 people to be terrorists so we can experiment on them with this new device? But they also seem to be contracted by powerful, influential people who say, my cousin Fred, he's going to be a co-inheritor and I don't want him to live. So my rich uncle is going to die, and I don't want my cousin to have any of it. So why don't you put him as a terrorist and get rid of him? There was one woman that I met who was put on the list because she refused someone's sexual advance, and now she's on the list for life. So if people say, well, I didn't work for the government, I certainly didn't work for the intelligence community, I should be safe, it's not my problem. No, it is your problem. And it could be your mother's problem, your sister's problem, your son's problem, your grandchild's problem. So the fusion centers I've described as Trojan horses. They're supposed to be doing one thing when they are entirely doing another. They are attacking the people that they are supposed to be protecting. So the fusion centers need to be frozen, shut down, audited, and the people in the domestic terrorism unit especially need to be apprehended and questioned as terrorists.